No matter where you go in the world, everyone will always be connected over one simple thing: community. We are all part of a community, whether it be your after school club, the friends you surround yourself with both in person and online, or even a fandom that are as dedicated to a show, game or movie franchise as you are. From the people that obsess over these works of art and buy trinkets to feel like they belong closer to what they love, to the people who just observe from a distance, admiring it for what it is. You cannot deny, without these people in the world, it would fall apart. Expressing our passions and love for things and people all around us, we are the community. Now, fandom is generally used to describe people who dress up in cosplay as their favourite characters and go to these large global conventions such as Comic-Con, VidCon, BronyCon, Minecon, any other con in the world spans globally. However, that isn't the case. I feel like fandom can be used to describe anything to do with a community or a fan base. From timeless classics such as Tom and Jerry and Batman, to the more modern communities and fandoms in video games such as Fortnite and Minecraft. And no matter what, fans will always stay true and dedicated to the things they grew up with, whether they be set across time and space in things like Doctor Who, or whether they were set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello there.
Star Wars is the creation of George Lucas. The first film, originally titled Star Wars, now called Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope, was first released to cinemas in 1977. What was seen initially as a massive flop to numerous producers and directors who screened the film eventually became popular thanks to a culmination of word of mouth and its ability to sell merchandise.
Comics, books, television shows, enough merchandise to make a wallet cry, and two sounds so iconic that they are now ingrained into people's memories and even nightmares. Over the course of 10 movies released to cinemas, Star Wars has raked in a whopping $8 billion plus. To put that in perspective, it beats out the likes of Lord of the Rings, Spider-Man, The Fast and Furious, and even Harry Potter. It is currently the second biggest movie franchise to ever exist, only being surpassed by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which rakes in $22.5 billion. And that isn't even taking into all the revenue that's come from merchandising and the television shows. Star Wars is that massive and that culturally well known that it's so recognisable that people who haven't even watched Star Wars know about it.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Now, Star Wars wouldn't have been as big as it is without its fandom or community. For example, if people didn't think it was a predicted box office failure and people didn't think it was a joke, people wouldn't have initially gone to see it and say, how funny would it be to go and watch this terrible movie? And then when realising it was amazing, they'd go tell their friends, and so on and so forth. And the fans are what makes Star Wars Star Wars. They dress up as Jedi, they dress up as Sith, they buy the merchandise, everything. However, there are some dedicated fans that go that one step further to create beautiful masterpieces that build on the story that Disney and Lucasfilm have created. They build upon that story and that universe.
This is madness.
I was lucky enough to sit down and talk with Phil Hawkins, a director and fan of major blockbusters who has recently finished directing an upcoming fan project and film dedicated to Star Wars titled Star Wars Origins. So one of the first questions I kind of have is, are you a fan of Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, the word yes doesn't cover it. I don't think it's a film, a movement, obviously a huge feature culture that defines and changes people's lives. You know, if I had not seen Star Wars, I wouldn't be a filmmaker today. I wouldn't have this job. So
what got you interested in Star Wars in the first place? Was it all the action shots? Was it the story?
When I first watched it, it was on VHS, and I was just utterly kind of immersed in this world, and I was amazed at how someone could create this and put it onto the screen and make me be convinced that I was experiencing these stories. So to see a character like Luke, who is sort of stuck in a way, and then went on to become this, hero and save the galaxy, was kind of inspirational.
You've been talking a lot about Star Wars and Jurassic Park and how they're some of your favourite movie franchises. Are there any more from when you were a kid or ones that you've grown up to admire now that you see as good movie franchises?
Isn't it all franchise these days? Everyone's trying to franchise everything because they want to monetize fandom. But I think we just need to be careful of not losing, original film and voices.
So I know you can't speak much about Star Wars Origins, the story or plot for obvious reasons, but can you confirm or deny that Star Wars Origins is set either a long time ago or in a galaxy far, far away?
Well, it's definitely set a long time ago. To me, this it is set in World War II. It's set in 1944, and it's definitely set on Earth. So it's not really a galaxy far, far away, but it's pretty far away in terms of being in the Sahara Desert. But the film was inspired by that sentence. People that don't even know Star Wars know the phrase "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." They get it.
Would you say the reaction to the trailer has given you a lot more confidence in how well the whole fan film will hopefully do when it's released?
Getting down to the insecurities of a filmmaker there, you don't hope it's a flop, but I never thought it would kind of blow up as much as it's done. And people have seen the comparison, which is fun, because our story is, the origins of Star Wars, and the next film is the end of the saga.
Fan films are becoming more and more successful, not just for Star Wars, but for other movie franchises like Star Trek. I think there's even a few Jurassic Park ones out there somewhere. Why do you think this is? Why do you think fan films are becoming more and more successful?
Well, I think they're more successful because they're easy to make and they're more accessible. I was saying this today, I can't remember the last time I watched live television. Viewing habits have changed. We're hungry for content, and short content as well. So if you can have a bit of a Star Wars movie that's 15 minutes long and it's free, then it'll be popular. Fandom now fuels it.
Do you think that fan films will not only match the quality of these large blockbuster movies, but also potentially surpass them?
Ooh, that is a interesting question. I don't think a fan film could ever surpass an official film. I think, sort of in its very nature, being described as a fan film is automatically on the back foot. But quality, I would say, people can blur the lines of what looks like a movie these days with a fan film. And if they're confused by who's making it, then maybe that means it is surpassing them in some ways.
And it isn't just Phil and the rest of the Star Wars Origins crew that are making spectacular masterpieces. There are multiple fan films across the internet that tried to build upon the story set by Disney and Lucasfilm. Some examples of this include Vader Episode 1, Shards of the Past by Star Wars Theory, and Darth Maul Apprentice by T7 Pro. Sometimes fans even go out their own way to make somewhat lackluster scenes incredible, such as FX in Post's reimagining of the lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, otherwise known as Scene 38 from A New Hope.
I really like what the Star Wars community is doing. It's helping to bring new life into a series that's nearly half a millennium old, and it's doing this by giving it new characters, new stories, and even new worlds to just help build this legacy that Star Wars has created. And in most cases it can even match and outshine that of the biggest motion picture company in the world. Now, ironically, Star Wars has something in relation to the topic I want to talk about. Mark Thorpe, who was a model maker on Star Wars along with multiple other movies back then, decided one day in 1992 to make a robotic vacuum cleaner. Then he decided, once he was bored of that, to turn it into a chainsaw wielding death machine. These are the events that led to him creating the show in America, known simply as Robot Wars.
It's robot fighting time!
The events run by Mark Thorpe continued from 1994 until 1997. During this time, the robots went from being literal RC cars with spikes for weapons to technical marvels such as Snake, a robot weighing 300 pounds which was apparently built in 12 days. as opposed to what is normally half a year for other machines.
And that's just typical of the kind of people that are brought here. Enthusiastic people who have one thing in common, and that is the love of building things and making things work and having a lot of fun with them.
Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman from Mythbusters also showed up to Robot Wars and built Blender in 1995, an upside-down wok with teeth on the edges that span up using a petrol engine. The machine caused so much damage that in both events it entered, it was deemed too damaging and unsafe that they were automatically awarded joint championship as long as they no longer competed.
If I don't survive this, tell my wives, all 162 of them, I love them.
These events weren't all safe. They took place inside of hockey rinks where metal could easily fly into the crowd. There are multiple cases of this, such as a piece of robot shrapnel soaring towards the host of Robot Wars, Jeremy Clarkson, and only missing him by mere inches.
After these instances took place and after numerous safety meetings, Robot Wars and subsequently BattleBots took their safety far more seriously. Which is honestly a good thing, considering robots nowadays are built out of hardops, which is essentially tank armour, and some are even capable of spinning up to 400 miles an hour, and are capable of doing this to each other as well as the arena.
They're on fire, I think! They're on fire! Oh my goodness!
If that bar had come this way, I need a change of track.
Now, despite being a massive part of the robot combat community, I don't know the inner workings of it. I may own my own robot, I may own merchandise, I may even watch the shows, but I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I don't even go to events, so I don't even know what the community is like in person. So I needed someone with that experience, someone with that knowledge of how the shows went and what it's like to be a part of the community, as well as to keep it alive. And fortunately, I think I found that great person.
From Hornchurch in Essex, King Buxton.
Meet Simon Harrison and his robot King Buxton. Simon has been competing with King Buxton since 1998 and is the host and showrunner of the UK event RoboNerd. So, how did you find out about robot combat?
Well, quite honestly, the first I'd heard about it really, I mean it had been in the States, but the first I'd heard about it was when I saw Robot Wars Series 1. And all of a sudden, I had to know all about it and I had to be on it. I didn't really like it for the combat. I liked it because it looked fun to build stuff. And I don't know about the telly bit, but certainly I was really wanting to build something. There was something in me that said, this is a challenge. And I think that obviously rung true with a lot of people, because obviously it was a really popular thing.
So would you say you were a fan before you were a competitor?
I had a couple of months of being a fan, but I wasn't so much a fan of any individual team. I was a fan of the show. I was a fan of the concept, and I was a fan of how I imagined it could be. And I think that's what made everyone a fan. You can get your own vision in your head of how you want it to be. It's mouldable into your vision, and that's what's so good about it.
So with King B, what was the design process when making it?
First and foremost, we only spent a day designing the thing in concept, and we did have some technical ideas that were probably better robots. And in the end, we decided to keep it really simple. To finish first you have to finish. So you have to make something that will go the distance. So the whole concept was keep going to the end and make it tough and make it powerful. If you look at the design, was based on those concepts.
What is one of your most favourite experiences?
The best thing about Robot Wars is the dream. And this is what draws people in. It's very easy and it's very satisfying to imagine your design and imagine the result and imagine who you're going to beat and who you're going to fight. The whole pleasant experience is the dream.
How dangerous would you say it really is?
It's more dangerous these days because you could build a machine quite easily that you can't test safely. I mean, I did have a bit of an experience with King B, one of the guys who was driving, he drove it into his foot and he moved it out of the way and he said, Christ, if that had hit me, that would have broken my ankle. You know, because it's 100 kilos running at you. So it is dangerous.
Why do you think it is that whenever a TV show like Robot Wars or BattleBots is no longer on the air, the community is still able to continue without it?
The dream is still there. You can't take away the dream. You can stop a television programme, but it doesn't mean people stop dreaming. I think it just makes their desire stronger and they want it more, and they might even get more angry about it not being there.
So what exactly is RoboNerd about?
RoboNerd, I identified an opportunity that was missed. There's a lot of different opportunities and they were splitting away from each other. But everyone was doing basically the same thing and everyone enjoyed robot combat. And every competition I'd seen was too serious. You know, you needed to go through a selection process. And I just thought that people were out there that I knew who would enjoy the opportunity to come along with anything they did and just play and meet other people playing with your stuff. It's just a playground. And I thought that was something that hadn't been done. The other sort of side of RoboNerd was to try and entice those robots back out so people could see them, because having built Robot, I know you spend a lot of time and money, hundreds and hundreds of hours, and there's been hundreds of robots built for Robot Wars and no one sees them, they're not appreciated enough.
I think the beauty of any community is the fact that you can join and be welcomed with open arms into most communities, and you're not really restricted to one community either. You can just join anything you want. For example, I'm a massive fan of robot combat. However, I'm also a massive fan of Star Wars and wrestling. I can have multiple likes and interests. And another beauty about it is that you can leave and rejoin any time. You're not restricted to how long you have to stick in one. You can leave and join at any point.
Thanks to people like Phil and Simon's, franchises, shows and even sports are helped to be kept alive, and without them, the communities would fade away into non-existence. And that begs the question, how long does your favourite community have left in it? Well, the only people who can answer that are the people in the community themselves.